wherever you're placed, you should do your best to excel there. So bloom where you're planted, that's what we say, right? So all the major MC Mehta cases, it has essentially and effectively addressed all these important pressing issues that affected a lot of people. Let's say you want to summarize an article that you're not able to understand properly. You can make use of AI tools, but that should not replace your entire creativity.
Hello and welcome to the Legal Vibes. After a very long time, we are here with Mahima ma'am. Thank you so much ma'am for your precious time to come the Legal Vibes.
Thank you so much Komal for having me here. First of all, I was not aware of such an initiative from your side, and it's a wonderful initiative, by the way. You're trying to bridge legal professionals and law students. It's a great effort.
Thank you ma'am. So now start?
Yeah, let's start.
Okay ma'am. So my first question is, people always think that like when we are in class 12 and we think that CLAT is the only option for the law student. Like when we get into the NLU, we have a path or way to the success.
Yeah.
Do you really think that it is only the right way to go in legal field, or the private college also get more opportunities? What are your views on it?
Yeah, so to answer your question specifically, I don't think I'm qualified for that, because I was never a law aspirant as such. I was somebody who aspired to be a doctor, all right?
Oh my God.
So I was pretty nice in science, and law was an option, but then I took up law, and I did not do my UG in an NLU, but it was a traditional university, and I feel like the hype that you give to NLUs, of course they provide good infrastructure, good research and all of that, but once if you're not able to get into NLUs, doesn't make your life miserable or anything. So wherever you're placed, you should do your best to excel there. So bloom where you're planted, that's what we say, right? So with the resources that you have at present, even if you do not end up in an NLU, try to make use of the resources that you have right now. So read extensively. So one thing that I feel like our generation is lacking is the reading ability. So personally, I love reading. So reading from a book gives me so much of satisfaction than reading from an online material or anything like that. So reading extensively, especially for law students, it's very important. So the more time you give into understanding concepts, research and all of that will benefit you. So wherever you are, try to excel in that field.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now after completing my LLB, then I have to pursue LLM from the NLU, and I have to give the CLAT examination, CLAT PG. What are the strategy we can use for preparation?
Yes, so you can start preparing for CLAT PG right from your 4th year or 5th year. So if you are in a 5-year degree, your 5th year will be enough. So the first primary aspect that you need to focus on is conceptual clarity. Alright, so if you are clear about the concepts, you'll be able to apply it in any kind of situation. So in CLAT PG, as far as I'm concerned, during my time it was more of judgments based, and you'll be given a comprehension from a judgment, and you're
Still it is.
Yeah, still it is. Okay, so that is a format you need to follow. So in order to excel in that, you have to have conceptual clarity. That is the basic thing. Now the second one is obviously solving PYQs, previous year question papers, that will give you a trend that the examiner follows. You'll better be able to understand the the format and all of that, and you'll get used to solving such questions. So if you have conceptual, that is the first thing that you need to work on. So be clear about your concepts in constitutional law, international law and all of that. So that will, even if the judgment is not aware, you're not aware of the judgment or the comprehension, you'll be able to apply the concept well if you know it properly.
Yes. And what about the time limit?
Time limit
how do we balance, like it's a 2-hour paper?
Yeah.
And we have to 120 questions.
Yeah.
What do we do?
So see, that's exactly why you need to solve
Reading.
PYQs.
Okay.
Alright, previous year question paper. So simulate that kind of an environment. So competitive exams, the key is to simulate that environment. Alright, so within the time limit, are you able to give what the exam requires from you? So that's what you need to focus on.
Okay. And do you think LLM is the best option after LLB, or we should think is at a option?
See, LLM cannot be taken as the best option. It depends on what you want to do after your 5 years or your 3 years. Alright, so if you want to continue in, say, teaching or research, you want to know more about a particular field, take up an LLM. Some people do take it up just to prolong the education, what do you say, the period. So if you're genuinely interested, go for an LLM, especially if you are interested in teaching and all. Or if you want to specialize in a particular field, yeah, LLM will benefit you.
Okay. Now I want to talk about research. We are in 9th semester.
Yes.
And we have to complete our dissertation.
Yes.
And we have to research a lot. And I want you to guide us for researching on particular topic. It's not about like for my topic, for everybody, how we can research on their topic.
So I'm sure especially the Sem 9 students, they must have identified certain areas that they have interest in by now, because you're in final year right now. So choosing a topic for dissertation will mainly be dependent on your interest in that topic. So it can be from anything, maybe the day-to-day happenings or the events that are happening around you, or certain problems.
For example, screen timing.
Yeah.
It is very like common right now, and people, like especially children are affecting because of the screen timing.
Yeah.
This is my topic, for example.
Yeah.
Now, what do you do? Like
So-
how we research?
Yes, so you need to first look into whether there's any existing regulation that's what do you say, regulating the
Acts.
interactions of
Okay.
children in the digital space. If that is so, if there is such a regulation in place, is there any lacunae in the existing regulation? What more can you add to it? Any alternative suggestion that you want to add to it? So that's how you research on it. So research is basically an inquiry, a systematic inquiry that you do. And for that, as I said, it may be from your personal experience. So let's say in your case, you were eagerly interested in how screen time affects children, focusing on that aspect. So it may be someone else, something else for somebody else. So personal experience or maybe day-to-day happenings can give you a topic, and then you pick their interest. You look into the literature, existing literature, where the legal framework that we have right now in international level or in the national level. What is the lacunae, the gray area that is not being addressed, and you put that in your dissertation. You work on it. So that's how research is usually done in dissertation level.
Okay, ma'am. Now I want to ask you about cyber crime to the women.
Yeah.
It is increasing day by day.
Yes.
So how we can stop it, or does AI especially affecting it?
Yes.
Like
See,
videos and
yes, with the coming up of AI and with the proliferation of AI as a technology, so the what do you say, the
cybercrime.
the cyber crimes have increased, and the occurrence of such crimes have increased quite a lot. And we do have guidelines, we do have rules and laws to check on the same, but are they being implemented properly? That is the question. So when it comes to AI and the interaction of AI and other cyber crimes, so there are many aspects. There's the aspect of territoriality, there's the aspect of how do you make an AI tool accountable for when it's related to a cyber crime. So more clarity in relation to regulation of artificial intelligence in the country.
Yeah, ma'am, there should be restriction on that. Like particular, like children cannot use AI or something, like we don't have any law or regulation about AI, right?
Yeah, so in relation to social media, so Australia has brought in a limitation, a restriction in relation to the use of social media for children under 16. So UK, countries like that, many other countries are also working on it. So I am hopeful that soon India will also have such, to keep a check on the interaction of especially children under 16 in social media platforms. And in order to a certain liability when it comes to artificial intelligence, you need to have a proper framework. So that is slowly being in place in the Indian legal system right now. So once that is properly made, we can regulate the related aspects of it.
Apart from government acts, what are the steps we can use to stop this type of crime, like cyber crime for the women?
So one is awareness. Okay, so awareness among women as to what kind of risks are involved when they are, let's say, interacting in a particular platform, or let's say when they are making use of a particular cyber technology or something like that. So awareness is one key thing. Second is that awareness of the rights, okay, or the awareness of whether an action, when it moves away from its what do you say, the boundaries, then it becomes a cyber crime. Such an awareness women should have. All right. And second is better enforcement of the existing provisions that we have in relation to cyber crime. So that will prevent cyber crime quite a lot. Yeah.
Now come to the constitution. You have done LLM on the constitution. Constitution is a very wide aspect, right? And we cannot just go through the articles, like it's a very wide term. And for everything, like for case laws, for our daily life conversation, constitution is very important. How can we read all those articles as a law student?
Yeah, so when you talk about understanding the constitution, so it is not about mugging up the articles. That is the tendency that we normally see in many students. So you need to understand the concept behind every provision. So for that, it will be better if you read the Constituent Assembly debates, especially children who have reached the 4th year, final year. Now you'll be able to better comprehend what's written in these debates. Okay, so why was a term like secular added later? Or let's say justice, why was it included? Or let's say liberty. What was the idea of liberty and freedom of the Constituent Assembly when they added these provisions? Okay, so in order to understand that, debates will help you quite a lot. And then go for higher books like MP Jain, which will give you proper commentaries on each provision. And based on that, analyze the case laws. How have these judgments affected the idea or impacted the idea of that constitutional provision or the rights of people? That is, if you view it in that lens, I guess constitution is a very interesting subject, especially because it's my
LLM.
Yeah, it's my specialization as well, constitutional and administrative. And during my LLM period, I was fortunate enough to have been exposed to a lot of literature related to constitution. So go for good commentaries written by constitutional experts, read about it. That is how you widen your perspective about constitutions. Constitution can never be narrowed down and interpreted. All right, it is a living document and it carries all the elements of liberty, justice and all of that. And we have different varied aspects of constitution coming up, new ideas of constitutionalism. We are stressing on digital constitutionalism right now, where we are talking about rights like privacy, rights like consent and all of that in the digital space. So constitution is a very dynamic area which will help you to understand all the other laws. Okay, so if your concept in constitution is clear, you'll be able to comprehend provisions in any other act.
So the next question is, in our day-to-day life, we can see that cutting down of the trees and the climate change and environmental law having a lot of acts and laws, rules and regulation, but people are not following it. What are your opinions and what are the things we can do to change this, to like balancing the environment?
Yeah. So if you look at the environmental law jurisprudence in India, how it evolved. So it was mainly through a very innovative judicial tool known as public interest litigation. So mainly to address all these diffuse interests. And if you look at all the major MC Mehta cases, it has essentially and effectively addressed all these important pressing issues that affected a lot of people. And one of the things that I keep in mind all the time, if you want the environment existing legislations to take place in a proper manner, one of the responsibilities is on the citizens themselves, okay, making sure that they are abiding by the rules, and the state, obviously the government agencies and all of that, to comply with the requirements of each of these legislations. Thereby we can protect the environment in a better manner. If you look at the international level, environmental issue is one of the most pressing issues at this particular point. So climate change and all those related aspects, or decreasing the use of non-renewable sources of energy. So we have several international treaties and all these efforts in place, but all these can be fruitful only if there's effective cooperation between countries, between developing, developed and least developed countries. So where there's effective technology transfer between developed countries and developing countries. Countries like India, they can achieve the target of reducing carbon emissions.
So the last question is AI. Like we can see that people, law student is very dependent on the AI right now, and the litigation part and all of that, we just whatever we have work, we just put it on the AI and we have the result. So what are your opinion, and do you think that in future it's very affecting us?
Yeah, I have a very strong opinion on this, because what we see among students right now is too much of reliance on AI. So you give them an assignment, a simple case-based scenario, what they do is they put it on some random AI tool and they get the solution. So what is happening here is an absence of their comprehension abilities. Okay, so one of the major things that you need as a lawyer is your ability to analyze things, to break down things, comprehend them and then analyze them. Then only you'll be able to give a solution. So if you want to do something with the society, if you want to address a problem, you need to understand that it is a problem. So that comprehension power, that analysis power, you're slowly losing it with with more reliance on AI tools. So AI tools are not entirely taking away your creativity. They can be used in a very responsible manner. Let's say you want to summarize a very hard judgment, or let's say you want to summarize an article that you're not able to understand properly. You can make use of AI tools, but that should not replace your entire creativity.
Yeah.
That is where you need to put a boundary on the use of AI. So AI does help. It does help us a lot as law students, and effective use of AI tools that will help you in the long run as well. But never skip the step of referring to books. I would always suggest that books should always be your source of knowledge, and use AI in order to work. If you want to build, if you want to build on that knowledge, use effectively use all these AI tools. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for coming to our channel, and it is very impactful and very knowledgeable video. So thank you so much. And now come back to the feedback part.
Thank you once again, Komal, for having me here. So it was a pleasure to be part of your podcast today. And it's, as I already mentioned, it's a great effort from your side trying to link legal professionals and law students. Keep up the good work. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Now, if you have to give me one suggestion for my YouTube channel or for me, what do you do?
I would suggest you to bring in more experts who can talk about specific issues, especially in relation to AI and social media and all, which affects you quite a lot. So, yeah.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.